We think we know the Amazon, that vast green stain on the map, cut through by the greatest river on Earth. It's this powerful symbol of life, of raw, untamed nature. We see it as a constant, something we can measure and map and, well, understand. But maybe we don't, because the face of this river, the one we all recognize, it hides secrets. Secrets that challenge pretty much everything we thought was true.
What if, deep beneath that churning brown water, and even deeper still, below the ancient rock and the earth itself, there's another current, a hidden counterpart, flowing in total darkness? You see, the story here isn't just about size. It's a story of strange behaviors, of impossible contradictions, and of mysteries buried so deep in time they've been almost completely forgotten.
So, to even start to get our heads around these secrets, we first have to confront its scale. And it's a scale that's almost hard to describe. This isn't just a river. In a lot of ways, it acts more like an inland ocean, a force so powerful it can actually change weather patterns and reshape the very land around it. 209,000. That's how many cubic meters of water the Amazon pumps into the Atlantic Ocean every single second. That's a flow so huge, it's almost impossible to picture. Try this. Imagine the next 7 largest rivers on the planet. Now, combine all of their water together. The Amazon is still bigger than all of them. To put that into a global perspective, that's 1/5. 20% of all the fresh water that enters all the world's oceans every single day comes from this one river system. It's less like a river and more like a planetary artery, just pulsing with the lifeblood of an entire continent. The river's power is so immense that it physically shoves the salt water of the Atlantic out of the way. It creates this huge lens of fresh water that stretches for over 160 kilometers out into the open sea. Think about this. For centuries, sailors knew they were getting close to South America not by seeing land, but by tasting the water. The ocean itself suddenly became drinkable.
And that name, the River Sea, it's a perfect fit. During the rainy season, the Amazon swells to an incredible 48 kilometers across. If you're standing on one bank, you literally could not see the other side. There's just a watery horizon, looks exactly like the open sea. It's the only river this big in the entire world that has no bridges crossing its main part. The problem isn't just the width, it's that the banks are constantly dissolving and reforming. The river just refuses to be tamed.
But the sheer size of the Amazon, that's really only the beginning of its story. When you start to look closer, the river behaves in ways that just don't seem to make sense. It's a place where the basic laws of physics, they just seem to bend, creating things that really shouldn't even exist. A current of deep contradictions.
This is the meeting of waters near Manaus, Brazil. And we're not talking about a subtle blend here. No, this is a sharp, clean line that stretches for miles downriver. On one side, you have the dark, almost black tea-colored water of the Rio Negro, and on the other, the sandy, coffee-with-cream-colored water of the Solimões. They travel right next to each other, 2 different worlds in one riverbed, and they just refuse to touch.
So why don't they mix? Well, it's because they're just fundamentally different bodies of water. The Rio Negro is warmer, it's moving at a lazy 2 kilometers per hour, and its water is acidic from all the decaying leaves in the rainforest. The Solimões, which starts way up in the Andes, is cooler, faster, and it's thick with sediment. These differences in temperature, speed, and density are so extreme that they just resist mixing. They flow together like oil and water, an impossible boundary line you can see even from space. Okay, so we've seen the river's incredible power pushing out into the ocean. But what happens when that same ocean, pulled by the moon, decides to push back with everything it's got? The result is one of the river's most violent and unnatural behaviors. They call it the Pororoca. In the local Tupi language, that means the Great Roar. During certain high tides, the Atlantic forces a wave, sometimes 4 meters high, straight into the mouth of the Amazon. This wave then travels upstream, against the current, at over 20 kilometers an hour. For a few moments, the world's most powerful river is defeated, its massive flow forced to run in reverse. It's like a river at war with itself.
The things happening on the surface are strange enough, but they are nothing compared to what was discovered far, far beneath the riverbed. The greatest secret of the Amazon wasn't on the surface at all. It was buried 4 kilometers down, in absolute permanent darkness.
So back in the early 2000s, geophysicists studying the Amazon basin started noticing these weird temperature readings deep underground. They just didn't make any sense, and this led them to a startling, almost unbelievable idea that the Amazon River had a shadow, a hidden twin flowing parallel to it, deep inside the Earth's crust.
Discovered in 2011 and named the Rio Hamza, this underground flow is the complete opposite of its counterpart up on the surface. Where the Amazon is fast, the Hamza is, well, it's glacial. Its water just seeps through porous rock at only millimeters per second. But its scale, it is staggering. At its widest, it might be 400 kilometers across. That's 8 times wider than the river flowing in the sunlight right above it. It's a silent, continent-sized leak moving in a darkness that hasn't seen light in millions of years.
So how did they find it? Not with cameras or submarines, nothing like that. It was all pure math and thermal physics. Researchers used temperature data from 241 deep wells that had been drilled for oil exploration. And with that data, they were able to map the tiny little heat changes caused by the moving water. They revealed a ghost river, hiding in plain sight, its presence given away only by the faintest thermal whisper in the deep earth.
A river that flows backward. A ghost river buried miles underground. The Amazon's natural mysteries are profound, but maybe the deepest, most unsettling secret it holds isn't about water, but about us. It's a story of a lost world, one that completely rewrites the history of human civilization in the Americas.
For hundreds of years, the thinking was pretty simple. The Amazon soil was too poor, the environment too difficult, to support anything more than just small, scattered tribes. The jungle was seen as a green desert, a place where you couldn't build cities, where empires could never rise. Well, that entire assumption, it was completely, totally wrong.
The Amazon has always been home to giants. 60 million years ago, it was the land of the Titan boa, a snake 15 meters long. But its more recent history holds a different kind of giant, a sprawling, complex human civilization that thrived for 800 years and then just vanished.
Using this amazing technology called LiDAR, it's basically lasers on an aircraft that can map the ground right through the dense trees. Archaeologists in Bolivia uncovered the remains of the Casarabe culture, and what they found, it was breathtaking. This wasn't just a few small villages, it was a network of sprawling urban centers with 22-meter-high conical pyramids, huge reservoirs and canals for managing water, and a web of raised roadways, perfectly straight running for kilometers through the jungle, connecting everything.
And then, around the year 1400, it all just stopped. After 800 years of building, of living, the cities were abandoned. The pyramids were left to the jungle, the canals dried up. There are no written records, no stories passed down that tell us what happened. Just a silent, empty landscape, reclaimed by the forest. It's a complete mystery.
A river that flows backward, a ghost river in the deep earth, a network of cities, home to potentially millions of people just swallowed by the forest. Every time we find something new in the Amazon, it seems to only deepen the mystery. It just goes to show you that the biggest spaces on our map aren't always the ones we understand the best, and it leaves us with one unsettling question. If an entire civilization can vanish here, what else is the river still hiding from us?